Now let's start with the pointly from the month of July. Now expansion of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, that is SCO, Iran and Belarus might join. The SCO has 8 members at present, that is India, Russia, China, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan and Pakistan. Now Iran and Belarus might join as new members soon. In the 2021 summit in Dushanbe, the members of SCO agreed to admit Iran as a member. Belarus has also applied for the membership. Now China and Russia are looking to frame SCO as a counter to West, particularly after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Now moving on to Fujian aircraft carrier. Fujian is China's first fully domestically developed and constructed aircraft carrier. It has been named after China's eastern coastal province, which lies across from Taiwan. It joins two other carriers currently operated by China, that is Shandong, commissioned in 2019, and Liaoning, bought second-hand from Ukraine in 1998. The Fujian's displacement is 80,000 tons, much more than the existing Chinese carriers, and comparable to the US Navy aircraft carriers. It also has the latest launch technology, that is Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System, that is EMALS, first developed by the US Navy. Now, the Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System, it is a catapult system which helps to provide an extra push to the aircraft. Once the catapult is released, the aircraft attached to the catapult moves forward with great speed in short span of time, which helps it to gain the speed required to take off before it reaches the end of the runway of the aircraft carrier. Now moving on to GSAT-24, India's GSAT-24 satellite was successfully launched in geostationary orbit by French agency Arianespace. Now GSAT-24 is a 24 Ku band communication satellite. The satellite will provide high quality television, broadcasting and telecommunication services. Now the GSAT-24 has been built by ISRO for National Space India Limited. It weighs approximately 4200 kilograms. It is the first demand-driven communication satellite mission undertaken by New Space India Limited, post-space sector reforms. Now NSIL has leased the entire satellite capacity to Tata Play. Moving on to Gateway. Gateway is a major component of NASA's Artemis mission. Gateway is a small space station around the moon that would make it easier for astronauts to reach more parts of the moon. This outpost is to be placed in what is known as the near rectilinear halo orbit. Now a halo orbit are those influenced by the gravity of two bodies like Gateway's case, Earth and the moon. The influence of two bodies helps make the orbit highly stable, minimizing the amount of propellant needed to keep the spacecraft circling the moon. Now moving on to Capstone mission, NASA has launched the Capstone, which is a microwave oven-sized CubeSat weighing just 25 kilograms. It stands for Cislunar Autonomous Positioning System Technology Operations and Navigation Experiment, that is Capstone. It aims to help reduce risk for future spacecraft by validating innovative navigation technologies and by verifying the dynamics and halo-shaped orbit. Now at the moon, Capstone will enter a near rectilinear halo orbit where it will fly within 1600 kilometers of moon's north pole on its near pass and 70,000 kilometers from the south pole at its farthest. Now the spacecraft will repeat the cycle every 6.5 days and maintain this orbit for at least 6 months to study dynamics. The study will provide useful insights for Gateway mission. Now moving on to Aryabhat-1, researchers at the Indian Institute of Science have developed an analog chipset called Aryabhat-1. It stands for Analog Reconfigurable Technology and Bias Scalable Hardware for AI tasks. It will allow artificial intelligence and machine learning apps to perform much better and faster. It is useful for AI-based application which deals with object of speech recognitions like Alexa or Siri. They are also very useful in operations require massive parallel computing at high speeds. Moving on to Web 5.0, former Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey has announced his vision for a new decentralized web platform that is being called Web 5.0. It is being built with an aim to return ownership of data and identity to individuals. Now Web 5.0 is aimed at building an extra decentralized web that puts one in control of their data and identity. Now moving on to Surya Nutan, Indian Oil Corporation Limited has developed an indoor solar cooking stove named Surya Nutan. It is a stationary, rechargeable and always a kitchen-connected indoor solar cooking system. The stove works in a hybrid mode that is capable of running both on solar and on auxiliary energy source simultaneously. This makes it a reliable cooking solution for all weather conditions. The stove can help cut down gas consumption. Now moving on to Mo Bus Service, it was launched by the government of Odisha in 2018 to serve the public transport needs of Odisha's capital region, that is Bhubaneswar and Cuttack. The Mo buses are designed to integrate smart technologies such as free onboard Wi-Fi, digital announcement, surveillance cameras, and electronic ticketing. An e-rickshaw system called Mo E-Ride is also introduced as last mile feeder service to the Mo bus. Mo E-Ride is the feeder service and Mo Bus Service is the bus service. 57% of the commuters in the city are now using Mo Bus service. E-rides will promote a green, sustainable transportation solution with an estimated pollution reduction of 30 to 50%. Now, 40% of the Mo Bus conductors are women, 100% of Mo E-drivers are women, transgender people, and people from disadvantaged communities. Now, Mo Bus was one of the 10 recipients of UN Public Service Award for 2022. The UN Public Service Awards, they were launched in 2003. Their purpose is to identify excellence in delivering public service, which promotes effectiveness, inclusiveness, and transparency to achieve the region's sustainable development goals. Every year, 10 initiatives are awarded. Now moving on to carbon bombs. A carbon bomb is an oil or gas project that will result in at least 1 billion tons of CO2 emissions over its lifetime. In total, around 195 such projects have been identified around the world. The listed carbon bomb projects include Carmichael Coal Project, Australia, owned by Adani Group, Javera Coal Mines in Chhattisgarh, owned by Coal India, and Rajmahal Coal Mines in Eastern Jharkhand, owned by Eastern Coalfields. Now moving on to Leave It in the Ground group, a group of environmentalists, lawyers and activists have come together to defuse the carbon bombs. The group is called Leave It in the Ground Initiative, Lingo. Its mission is to leave fossil fuels in ground and learn to live without them. It believes that 100% of renewable energy source Renewable energy sources solution to global warming. Now, moving on to Living Lands chapter, the Commonwealth leaders have adopted the Living Lands Charter at 2022 Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Kigali, Rwanda. It is a non-binding agreement. The charter maintains member countries to safeguard global land resources and arrest land degradation, while acting against climate change, biodiversity loss, and towards sustainable management. The Commonwealth members have also agreed to voluntarily dedicate living land in their respective countries to future generations, in line with the strategy set for United Nations Decade on Ecosystem Restoration. Now, moving on to EU's Nature Restoration Law, the European Commission has unveiled a draft Nature Resolution Restoration Law to restore nature and mitigate climate change on the European continent. Its aim is to cover at least 20% of the used land and seas areas by 2030 with nature restoration measures and extend these to all ecosystems in need of restoration by 2050. It set targets like to halve the use of pesticides across Europe by 2030, no net loss of green urban spaces by 2030, etc. The European Union countries, and the European Parliament will need to approve the draft legislation before it becomes law. Under the law, 100 billion euros, that is $105 billion, will be available for biodiversity spending, including restorations. Moving on to Ramagundam solar plant, it is India's largest floating solar plant. It is now fully operational at Ramagundam in Telangana's Peddapalli district. It is a 100 megawatt floating solar power photovoltaic project commissioned by the National Thermal Power Corporation, that is NTPC. The plant has several benefits like reduced demand of land, reduced evaporation of water, and reduced CO2 emissions. Now, moving on to more precipitation likely in India in the next decades. According to a study published in Nature magazine, India is likely to see more precipitation, that is rainfall and snowfall, within the next 30 years. There is a likelihood of 15 to 30% relative increase in precipitation by 2050 under a high emission scenario. By 2021, the majority of India will see a 30% relative increase in precipitation. However, drought frequency might slightly increase in northern India. In contrast, Mediterranean region, southern and central South America, Australia, and northern Africa are likely to see a decrease in precipitation and unlikely to become drought hotspots. Moving on to Bani Grassland. Bani Grassland is situated near Great Run of Kutch in Gujarat. It stretches 2,500 square kilometers. It was declared a protected forest in 1955 under the Indian Forest Act of 1927. The grassland has native green trees like Acacia nilotica, Salvador paracea, and Capparis decidua, which are protected under Section 26 in the Indian Forest Act of 1927. The Gujarat Forest Department plans to restore 10,000 hectares of Bani grassland in the coming year and every year thereafter in the coming decade. Now, moving on to use of sirens to prevent human-elephant conflict, the Odisha Forest Department, in association with the NGO, has started a pilot project on a siren system to alert traffic about elephant movement. The siren system detected elephant herds approaching the national highway by its infrared sensor systems. Once detected, the siren would go off, alerting the traffic from both sides. Now, moving on to wetland status for Rajasthan's Minar village. Now, Minar is a village located in the Udaipur district in Rajasthan. It is recognized as the bird village following community-driven conservation efforts. The village has two lakes, that is the Brahma Lake and the Dunda Lake. These lakes play host to more than 150 species of local and migratory birds in winter seasons like greater flamingo, white-tailed lapwing, Pelasian, marsh harrier, bar-headed goose, common teal, green shank, pintail, wagtail, green sandpiper, red-watted lapwing. The volunteers known as Pakshi Mitras, that is friends of birds, are maintaining the lake for a safe haven for birds. The village is said to be notified as a wetland. Now, moving on to Chenkurunji tree. Now, Chenkurunji tree is a species of plant in the family of Anarchaceae. It is endemic to Agastyamalai bioreserves. Now, Shendurni Wildlife Sanctuary in Kollam district is named after this tree. Though the flowering of Cherokee usually happens in January, but of late the plant species have reported a tendency to extend the process due to climate change. The tree is used to lower blood pressure and treat arthritis. Now, moving on to red panda. Red panda is a small mammal native to eastern Himalayas and southern West China. It is classified as endangered under the IUCN Red List and falls under the Appendix 1 of iCITES and Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Now, the red panda inhabits coniferous forests as well as temperate broadleaf and mixed forest, favoring steep slopes with dense bamboo covers close to water sources. It is a solitary and largely arboreal species. It is state animal of Sikkim. Now, moving on to Padmaja Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park has started an ambitious program to release 20 red pandas in about 5 years to the forest. Now, Singlila National Park will get red panda as part of this program. Moving on to Padmaja Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park. Now, Padmaja Naidu Himalayan Zoological Park is located in Darjeeling in West Bengal. It was opened in 1958. It is the largest high-altitude zoo in India. The zoo is internationally recognized for its conservation breeding programs for red panda, snow leopards, Tibetan wolf, and other highly endangered species of eastern Himalayas. Now, moving on to Kai Chutney, tribals of Mayurbhanj district in Odisha are seeking a geographical indication tag for Kai Chutney. It is a food item made from kai, that are red weaver ants. This chutney is rich in valuable proteins, calcium, zinc, vitamin B12, iron, magnesium, potassium, sodium, copper, fiber, and 18 amino acids, and is known to boost immune system and keep diseases at bay. Now, kais are also biocontrol agents. They are aggressive, and due to their predatory habit, kais are recognized as biological control agents in tropical crops, as they are able to protect a variety of crops against many insect pests. Now, moving on to Haryali Mahotsav, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change is organizing Haryali Mahotsav. It is known as Tree Festival. Its aim is to create awareness about importance of trees and green cover to protect environment against air pollution and global warming. The festival involves planting 75 saplings in 75 urban forest spaces across the country as part of the 75th anniversary of Indian independence. The tree plantation is one of the actions towards lifestyle for environment as announced by the Prime Minister in COP26 at Glasgow. Now, moving on to Global Livability Index, it is published by Economist Intelligence Unit annually. Its aim is to quantify the challenges presented to an individual's lifestyle in 173 cities. The index ranks cities based on categories that are stability, healthcare, culture, environment, education, and infrastructure. Now, Austrian capital Vienna has topped the list of most livable city in the world. New Delhi has been ranked 112th on the list, while Mumbai is ranked 117th. Now, places associated with Dr. Ambedkar. The National Monument Authority has recommended 2 sites associated with Dr. Ambedkar to be declared monuments of national importance. Now, Sankalp Bhumi Bamyan Trade Campus in Vadodara. Here, Dr. Ambedkar has taken a resolve to eradicate untouchability on 23rd September 1970. Pratap Rao Bhosle High School in Satara, Maharashtra. Here, Dr. Ambedkar received his primary education. The school, now under Zilla Parishad, is in very bad condition. Moving on to UNESCO award to CIET, the Central Institute of Education Technology has been awarded UNESCO's King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa Prize. The prize has been given for the use of information and communication technology in education under a comprehensive initiative called PM eVidya. Now, PM eVidya was launched in 2020 by the Ministry of Education. It is a comprehensive initiative which unifies all efforts related to digital, online, on-air education to enable multimode access to education. Now, moving on to Central Institute of Educational Technology, it is a constituent unit of National Council of Education Research and Training. It was established in 1984. Its aim is to promote utilization of educational technology, which is radio, television, films, satellite communication, and cybermedia, either separately or in combinations. Now, moving on to Nadaprabhu Kempegowda, he was a 16th century chieftain of Vijayanagar Empire. He belonged to the Vokaliga community in southern Karnataka. He is credited as the founder of Bengaluru city. He is also known to have developed around 1,000 lakes in the city to cater to drinking and agricultural needs. A bronze statue of Nadaprabhu Kempegowda will be unveiled soon at the premise of Kempegowda International Airport. Moving on to Balika Panchayat, it is an initiative of Gujarat government under the Beti Bachao Beti Padhao campaign. Its aim is to promote social and political development of girls and to ensure their active participation in politics. Now, Balika Panchayat is managed by girls in the 11 to 21 age group. Members of the Balika Panchayat are elected after an intense campaigning process. Moving on to Mission Shakti, it has been launched by Ministry of Women Child Development. It is a mission mode scheme aimed at strengthening interventions for women's safety, security, and empowerment. Mission Shakti has 2 sub-schemes, Sambal and Samarthya. Sambal, it is for safety and security of women. The components consists of erstwhile schemes of one-stop center, women helpline, Beti Bachao Beti Padhao, with a new component of Nari Adalats, that is women's collectives to promote and facilitate alternative dispute resolution and gender justice in society within families. Samarthya is for the empowerment of women. The component consists of erstwhile schemes like Ujjwala, Sudhar Greh, working women hostels have been included with modifications. The existing scheme of National Creche System for children of working mothers and Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana under umbrella ICDS has also been included. A new component of gap funding for economic empowerment has also been added. Now, moving on to rise in toy exports, according to Ministry of Commerce and Industry data, the import of toys is down by 70% in the last 3 years. The export of toys have jumped by 61.38% over the same period. India's toy industry is estimated to be 1.5 billion with 0.5% of the global market share. The market is fragmented with 90% of the market being unorganized and 4,000 toy industry units from MSME sector. Moving on to National Industrial Corridor Development Program, it is India's most ambitious infrastructure program aiming to develop new industrial cities as smart cities and converge next generation technologies across infrastructure sector. Its objective is to expand the industrial output, increase employment opportunities, provide better living and social facilities for the government and growing workforce. Now, NICDC is developing 11 industrial corridors comprising 32 projects in 4 phases. The Asian Development Bank, that is ADB, and the Government of India have signed a $250 million loan to support the NICDP. The NICD and Implementation Trust, that is NICDIT, is the implementing agency.